Hey guys, we are on the floor again, which can mean only one thing. Time for another book haul. Hey guys, if you're new here, welcome to The Book Path. I'm Nicole, and if this isn't your first rodeo, thanks for sticking around. So yeah, it is time for our winter book haul. Basically, this is everything I got after Christmas up until the end of February, because I feel like kind of your December, January, February is winter, and then you start moving into spring. So I wanted to just go over everything that I've kind of got. There's been a few posts about one or two of these books, but I think for the most part, I haven't really mentioned a lot of them yet. But there are a few, so let's go ahead and get started with what I got, because I know that's what you guys want to see. So first up was one that I had been waiting on, and that is Breath of the Dragon by Shannon Lee and Fonda Lee. I really wanted to get this one because in my household, we are a Bruce Lee family. My hubby loves Bruce Lee. We have all the training books from Bruce Lee, quotes from Bruce Lee, figurines, statues. I mean, he is definitely one of my hubby's idols. So knowing that this is based on the teachings of Bruce Lee and that it is written by his daughter or co-written by his daughter, I definitely knew that I had to pick it up. We will see if I can get the hubby to read it. He's definitely intrigued a little bit, but obviously very busy. So we will see what happens there. But yes, it has these sprayed edges. I don't think it had, did it have anything? Like, there wasn't really end papers, but it does have one of the epic kind of Bruce Lee-esque poses on the cover, which I thought was great. It also has maps and everything in here, but the end papers are fine. But basically, you have 16-year-old June dreams of proving his worth as a warrior in the Elite Guardians tournament held every 6 years to entrust the magical scroll of heaven to a new protector. Eager to prove his skills, June hopes that a win will restore his father's pride, righting a horrible mistake that caused their banishment from his home, his mother, and his twin brother. But June's father strictly forbids him from participating. He believes there's no future in June honing his skills as a warrior, especially considering June is not breath-marked, born with a patch of dragon scales and blessed with special abilities like his twin. Determined to be the next guardian, June stows away in the wagon of Chang and his daughter Ren, performers on their way to the capital where the tournament will take place. As June competes, he quickly realizes he may be fighting for not just a better life, but for the fate of the country itself and the very survival of everyone he cares about. So it definitely, you have the tournament, fate of the world, just very interesting. And so obviously you have Shannon Lee, who is Bruce Lee's daughter, and then you have Fonda Lee, who wrote she wrote the Jade City saga, which I've been wanting to read, heard phenomenal things about, haven't read yet, but the team up is going to be incredible in this one. So I do have very high hopes for this one and cannot wait to read. So next up was a little bit of a bargain pick, and it's not the next book, but it is one in the Planet Barbarians series, which, as you know, I read Ice Planet Barbarians and thought it was going to be not that great, and I absolutely adored it and loved it. So we picked up Barbarian's Mate, which I think is like book 5 or 6, so I don't want to go into it too much, but I ended up getting it for $3.99. So I'm like, I'm going to pick it up because I loved the series. I do want the series, and I do like these covers. I know there's some other covers to it, but I do like these cover styles. So we're going to add this to our collection. It's not book 2, so we won't be reading it soon, but at least we will have it when we get to it. So next up, I'm going to have to do a video because I know I had recently picked up these Violent Delights and Foul Lady Fortune, but we're going to add to the Chloe Gong collection, and we picked up Immortal Longings. We ended up getting this one for like $4.99 at our discount store. And this one is, every year, thousands in the kingdom of Talon will flock to its capital, Twin Cities, Sun-Air, where the palace hosts a set of games. For those confident enough in their ability to jump between bodies, there is a fight to the death across Sun-Air for a chance to win unimaginable riches. Princess Calip, I'm so going to butcher these names, I am so sorry. Princess Calatulemi lurks in hiding. 5 years ago, a massacre left her parents dead and the palace of air empty, and she was the one who did it. Before her uncle King Kasa and his forces in San can catch her, she plans to finish the job and bring down the monarchy. The king always greets his victor out of the games, so if she wins, she gets her opportunity to kill him at last. Enter Anton Makusa, an exiled aristocrat. His childhood love has lain in a coma since they were both ousted from the palace, and he's deep in debt trying to keep her alive. Thankfully, he's one of the best jumpers of the kingdom, fitting from body to body at will. His last chance at saving her is entering the games and winning. Kala finds both an unexpected alliance with Anton and help from King Kasa's adopted son, August Shenzi, who wants to mend Talon's ills, but the three of them have very different goals. Even as Kala and Anton's partnership spirals into something all-consuming, before the games close, Kala must decide what she's playing for, her lover or her kingdom. So this is supposed to be inspired by Antony and Cleopatra, which, as a history buff, I know how that one ends, and it wasn't that great. So we will see. You have romance, deadly games, his former lover in a state of coma. I don't know if it means, at first I thought jumpers meant like they jump from building to building, you know, like a parkour thing, but now it seems like jumpers might mean like body jumping. So it's going to be really interesting. I've heard mixed reviews on this book, but like I said, I'm going to have to do like some sort of like Chloe Gong book read review video and like just read all of her stuff that I have, because I have like 3 of them now. Next one, I know I posted a picture of this on Instagram, but I was just so insanely happy when I got this because it's just so pretty, and it stared at me on the shelf, and I literally sat there or stood there for like 5 minutes trying to debate myself on whether I should buy this or not, and in the end I won. I would have won anyway because it's my choice, but either way, the book went out and I brought it home, and I'm good with it. I'm good with it because that is Under the Oak Tree, the novel. It says volume 1. I haven't seen anything for any more volumes, but this is by Suji Kim. This is a beautiful cover. Look at that cover. Like, it is just beautiful. And then the edges, I'm like, let's just get that, where it basically says, the first moment I saw you, I knew you would ruin me. I mean, between this cover and this, I really didn't need much more. I was pretty much in at that point. It was just kind of a moment. So basically says, most fairy tales end with a wedding and happily ever after, but this is no fairy tale. Lady Maximilian is the daughter of a powerful Duke Croiso, but she is rarely allowed outside her family's sprawling castle for fear that her stutter will tarnish their noble name. When she's forced to marry Sir Riften, a low-born knight caught in one of her father's schemes, Maxie doesn't dare hope for happiness, let alone love. Her stumbling communication and his gruff manner sour their relationship before it begins, and Riften leaves without a word the morning after their vows are exchanged. Now, 3 years after their disastrous wedding night, Riften has returned as a war hero. To Maxie's surprise, despite rumors that he was offered marriage to Princess Agnes, a beautiful and renowned sorceress, Riften still wants Maxie for his wife. And when he comes home to claim her, his desire bewilders Maxie, even as she is overcome by the scorching heat that Riften's presence ignites within her. As she learns to navigate the intricacies of her new life, Maxie will find herself and her courage and discover that she's anything but powerless. So that just icing on the cake. I'm excited for this one because obviously a beautiful book, a very intriguing storyline, possible spice, beautiful book. But yeah, so we ended up getting that one. Next up, I ended up reading The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Peñaranda. I think it was January, and I was really intrigued by the storyline. So lo and behold, the sequel, I found out like a few days before it was coming out that the sequel was coming out. So I went and picked up the sequel, and of course it's just as beautiful as the first one. So we have The Night is Dying, and obviously we have the covers, we have the beautiful sprayed edges here, and the gloriousness of the actual cover of the book. I mean, look at that. It's just great, and it matches one up there. But yeah, so we are going to continue. I'm not going to go into too much about this one, but we are going to continue where we left off with Estrella and Knight. And in the first one, you had Estrella, who was kind of kept in captivity by this guy, and she breaks out and en route to the trials with her friend who's participating in these trials to basically protect their homeland from vampires. Her friend ends up dying, and she ends up taking Estrella ends up taking the spot of her friend and competing in these trials to still try to protect their homeland. And while she's doing it, she keeps having visions or visits from Knight, and she doesn't know if she's suffering madness or if Knight is real, and you just kind of get sucked in at that point. That is basically all I will say on that one. So this is going to be the continuation of where that book left off, and just more about Estrella finding out who she is and how it's playing into the larger picture. So next up, I ended up seeing this book, and I kept thinking about it, and finally I ended up going back and getting it during one of the book sales, and that is The Courting of Bristol Keats. It had a really intriguing cover. Obviously, the sprayed edges were fantastic. There's not really anything on this part, but it just sounded interesting. And you have, after losing both their parents, Bristol Keats and her sister struggle to stay afloat in their small, quiet town of Bousekeep. When Bristol begins to receive letters from an aunt she's never heard of who promises she can help, she reluctantly agrees to meet and discovers that everything she thought she knew about her family is a lie. Her father might even still be alive, not killed, but kidnapped by terrifying creatures and taken to a whole other realm, the one that he is from. Desperate to save her father and find the truth, Bristol journeys to the land of gods and fays and monsters. Pulled into a dangerous world of magic and intrigue, she makes a deadly bargain with the fae leader, Teigen. But what she doesn't know is that he's the one who drove her parents to live a life on the run, and he is just as determined as she is to find her father, dead or alive. So it just sounds really interesting, and I finally picked it up. So it sounds like a good adventure with some possible fae spice. But we will go ahead and see what we get there. Next up is a book that I'm not gonna lie, storyline. I am in on this one, and I am really, really excited to read it. So literally as soon as I can read it, this is getting read. And that is Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. When I read the storyline, if you are an anime fan, this book's probably going to be for you too. And it basically says, a tale for anyone who's ever fallen for the villain. As her whole life collapses, Ray still has books. Dying, she seizes a second chance at living, a magical bargain that lets her enter the world of her favorite fantasy series. She wakes in a castle on the edge of a hellish chasm, home to the once and forever emperor, her favorite fictional character. He's impossibly alluring, as only fiction can be. However, in this fantasy world, she discovers that she is not the heroine, but the villainess in the Emperor's tale. Time to assemble a rogues gallery of villains and hatch an evil plot. So I love this because I have seen some of the animes that have come out where they get kind of resurrected into their favorite video game that is kind of like an Otome game, and they're the villainess and they have to try to survive the game. I've seen a few of them and I love them. I love that whole premise. And how they end up basically having a reverse harem of it all. So I love that. So when I read this, I was like, I have to, because now it is a book form of like one of my favorite anime genres that are coming out. So we're going to go ahead and get to that one as soon as possible. So next up, we ended up picking up Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the third book in the Belladonna series. And this is the hardcover. The rest are in paperback, which kind of bummed me out. But this is a very pretty hardcover because underneath the dust jacket, you have like, is just pretty. And then the end page. So, I mean, it is a very pretty book. And I ended up getting this at a discount, I think, on sale. But basically, this is going to be kind of taking place after Foxglove. And this one is going to be more about Blythe, who has been basically sick in bed in the first book and just starting to gather her strength in the second book. You see a little bit of her kind of resolve and strengths and her wit playing into book 2. But this is basically going to be the story between her and one of the brothers. I think it's Life or Fate that that we meet in book 2 under the name of Eris. So this is going to be kind of like their little story and what's going to go on here. And I have a lot of feelings this is going to be kind of an enemies to lovers trope. So this will be the final book in that series, and but it's going to feature two newer characters instead of the characters that we were reading in the first 2 books. So it'll be interesting to see. And I'm looking forward to some more of that witty banter that was kind of brought about in book 2 between these 2 characters. So we'll see how it goes from there. Next up, I ended up picking up Hexed by Emily McIntyre. This is the latest book in the Hooked series. I own them all right over here. I have not read them yet, but I wanted to be prepared because I think in May, I am going to do a buddy read with one of my Instagram friends who she has the series as well and has not read it. So I was like, hey, I'm pretty booked up until May, but if you want to like buddy read with me and we can kind of get these series and cheer each other on through these books, let's do it. May seem to work for her. So hopefully this will be what's happening in May, but we shall see. So this is kind of the spicy, darker version of, I think it's Peter Pan and Hook and everything. So this is the latest and greatest book in that. I don't want to read the back because I don't want it to spoil any of these books for me. So next up, I kept seeing these. They had pretty covers. I think I had read about it a while back and wanted to pick them up, but I hadn't had the chance yet. And now they are just kind of blowing up on Instagram, and I've seen a lot of people get them. I saw them on sale, so I went and I picked them up. And that is Spark of the Everflame and Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is the Kindred's Cursed saga. So basically, the first one has some very pretty little woodsy. It's just kind of embossed here. It looks like it says something. It says Spark of the Everflame Penn Cole on it. I don't know if you can see it because it's kind of just embossed in a pattern into it. But we have that one there. Let's see if there's anything in here. Yep, we have the sprayed edges of like a kingdom. It's actually really pretty. And then this one has that kind of the same thing. Well, you can't really see it, but it is kind of embossed in there or etched into there. I'm obviously not going to read what's going on in this one because we don't want spoilers. But we'll go ahead and read this one. And it says, in a mortal world colonized by the gods and ruled over by the Descended, their cruel magic-wielding offspring, Deme Bellator yearns to escape the insular life of her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of dangerous secret about her past offer Deme an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of the Descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. When the dying king's handsome, enigmatic heir, watching her every move, and a ruthless rebel alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, Deme will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. So this will be an interesting series. Like I said, I've heard a lot of really good things about it, so it'll be interesting. So next up is I ended up going, Book Outlet had a sale going on where all their books, all their fiction books were $5.99. That's kind of a steal when you can get them with the hardcovers as well. So saved a lot of money there. Usually that's when I'll do my big splurgy sales at Book Outlet is when they do the sales, but check them out. They definitely have. This is not sponsored by them. I would love a sponsorship from them because I order from them at least 2 to 3 times a year, like whatever. But anyway, so books I ended up getting from there is Filthy Rich Fae by Geneva Lee. I had picked up the Filthy Rich Vampires earlier, I think it was later last year, but I ended up having that one. I haven't read it yet, but they just sound really good and intriguing. So for $5.99, like all these books were $5.99 each. You have Kate Holloway knows the unspoken rule of New Orleans: avoid the powerful Gage crime family at all costs. Of course, that was before her brother got caught in their chaos. Now Kate has no choice but to confront the dark and foreboding Prince of New Orleans himself and beg for her brother's life. But Lachlan Gage is as lethal as he is beautiful, and the only currency he's interested in is her soul, because Lachlan isn't just some ruthless criminal, he's Fae, and he has his own secret reasons for binding her to him. Tricked and desperate, Kate is torn between humanity and the breathtaking otherworld, a place filled with shadows and secrets, with members of each Fae court plotting against her just as her captor's motives for trapping her become more mysterious. And if she can't break his sinister bargain in the next 30 days, she'll be bound to the inscrutable yet infuriatingly tempting Fae prince and his deadly world forever. So a few things. This gives off, because of the New Orleans and the supernatural, obviously I'm feeling the originals vibes, so we're gonna go there. The other thing is the name Lachlan. I love that name. I've only ever heard it once before in like elementary school. There was a Lachlan, and I just kind of loved that name. And when I got older and we had our kids, Lachlan was one of the names that I wanted, but I didn't get it. It's okay. I love my kids' names anyway. It's all right. But I did love Lachlan. Lachlan was one of the ones that I had liked. So seeing that name come out again, like I said, I don't see it that often here in America. Maybe it's more prevalent somewhere else, but I do love the name. So I am curious to see a dark Fae prince flirtiness with the name that I love. So we're going with that. Next up, because I had read The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owens, I started looking at some of her backlog, and I wanted to read more because I really liked kind of the writing styles and the competition aspect that she wrote about, where she didn't just gloss over it. Like, you felt like you were there during the trials they did, and I really liked that. So I wanted to read some of her backlog. So I ended up picking up, don't know which one's which, but we have The Blood King and The Rogue King. And I don't really know which one's which, and now that's really confusing me. Let's see. Do we get hints in here? Okay, so these are the first two books in the Inferno Rising Sea series, and it looks like the first one is The Rogue King. So good, we are not going to go into The Blood King because we don't want spoilers. So we have The Rogue King, and you have Brand Astaroth is patiently biding his time for a chance to take vengeance of the king of the Golden Dragon clan, to unleash the rage that he lives with, the grief for his slaughtered family. Already he can taste the blood, the smoke, the fury. Until then, Brand remains a rogue dragon shifter, bound to no one but himself. And with the chance to ally himself with a new clan, he's tracking down a woman who could shift the balance in the world of the dragons. Only no one told him exactly what or who Kaja Amin is, or that she's coveted by those who would use her for their own purposes. Unpredictable and dangerously lethal, Kaja will not be used by anyone, especially the mercenary dragon shifter who calms the inferno raging inside her. But nothing will stop the dragon who wants to be king, or the rogue who's out for revenge. So looks like there might be some trials. Look like there's revenge. Apparently revenge is like a theme in these books that seem to be going on. Somebody did something to somebody's family and now we're off for revenge. That seems to be a catalyst in all of these books. But oh well, I love it. I'm here. So next up, we have one that has been making the rounds on socials, and it's pretty, and everybody's saying that this is like just a comfy, nice, warm hug of a book to read. And that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I got the one with the purple edges. It's just, that's basically it. It just has the sprayed edges. And basically you have, Keela has always had the trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to the remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies some things that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. Like a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic, the spell shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. So we love a little bit of warm comfort reads. So that's what we ended up picking, and we'll see how that goes. And I do love the little winged kitty cat on the cover there. That's pretty cute. Next up, we read The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. So much like Abigail Owens, I went into the backlog and I found the books The Witch Haven and The Witch Hunt. So I ended up getting both of them. I'm a little upset that they're paperback, hardcover, and yeah, because that is a thing. But basically, we're not going to read, obviously, The Witch Hunt because it's the sequel and no spoilers. So we have Haxahaven Academy Rules for Young Witches. Number 1, mind your instructors. Number 2, no unsupervised spell work. And number 3, don't leave after dark, which obviously we know rule number 3 is going to get broken. I mean, all of them are going to get broken, but in 1911, New York City, 17-year-old Frances Hallowell spends her days as a seamstress mourning the mysterious death of her brother months prior. Everything changes when she's attacked and a man ends up dead at her feet, her scissors in his neck, and she can't explain how they got there. Sounds like a scene out of Chicago, but you know. The musical. Before she can be condemned as a murderess, 2 cape-wearing nurses arrive to inform her she's deathly ill and ordered to report to Haxahaven Sanitarium. But Frances finds Haxahaven isn't a sanitarium at all. It's a school for witches. Within Haxahaven's glittering halls, Frances finds the sisterhood she craves, but the headmistress warns Frances that magic is dangerous. Frances has no interest in the small, safe magic of her school, and instead enchanted by Finn, a boy with magic himself, who appears in her dreams and tells her he can teach her all she's been craving to learn, learns that lessons that may bring her closer to discovering what truly happened to her brother. Frances's newfound power attracts the attention of the leader of an ancient order who yearns for magical control of Manhattan, and who will stop at nothing to have Frances by his side. Frances must ultimately choose for what matters most, justice for her murdered brother and her growing feelings for Finn, or the safety of her city and fellow witches. What price would she pay for power? And what if the truth is more terrible than she ever imagined? So I love that it's New York. My family grew up in New York. I spent some time there. So it's got a little bit of love in my heart. And the fact that this is 1911, it's going to be, you know, obviously your paranormal historical fantasy and how that plays into the world of New York. So yeah, we're going to pick up that duology. I think it's a duology. I'm not sure. If there's more, we'll probably get more. We are down to the bottom 3. And basically we ended up, I keep seeing this one at the store as well, and it looked pretty, so I got it on sale. We'll see how it goes. And that is The Coven by Harper L. Woods. Obviously I got the really pretty sprayed edges. I was surprised because this is a really thin book. So like having sprayed edges on a really thin book, but I guess sprayed edges are coming out more, which I'm not going to complain against. Basically, once again, revenge is the theme. It even says it right there. Raised to be my father's weapon against the coven that took away his sister and his birthright, I would do anything to protect my younger brother from suffering the same fate. My duty forces me to the secret town of Crystal Hollow and the prestigious Hollows Grove University, where the best and brightest of my kind learn to practice their magic, free from human judgment. There are no whispered words here, no condemnation for the blood that flows through my veins. The only animosity I face comes from the beautiful, infuriating headmaster, Alaric Grayston Thorne. And Alaric's another name that I love. It's the name of my character for Magical Readathon, but yes. A man who despises me just as much as I loathe him and everything he stands for. But that doesn't mean secrets don't threaten to tear the school in two. No one talks about the bloody massacre that forced it to close decades prior, only the opportunity it can afford to those fortunate enough to attend. Because for the first time in 50 years, the Coven will open the wards to the 13 promising students destined to change the world if the ghosts of Hollows Grove's victims don't kill them first. So definitely spooky. We shall see. and go from there. I like at the end, it basically has a little blurb from it, and I was going to skip it until I read the end of it. So it says, "I'll always come for you, witchling," he said, holding my stare for a moment. Those blue eyes glimmered with something that felt like more, stealing the breath from my lungs for a suspended moment in time. The gold seemed to flash, the twisted connection between us pulling taut. Then he ruined it, turning his stare away and touching the underside of my chin. "Can't have you being the only one to give me orders now, can I?" I grimaced. The reminder serving its purpose, grounding me in reality. Love wasn't in the cars for me. Not with the witch. Not definitely with the vessel. We could and would work together, but this was nothing more than a business arrangement between two people who hated each other, even if we wanted to rip one another's clothes off. So, yeah. So next up, I had my eye on this book for a while, and I wanted to get it right when it came out, and then it just got away from me. But I'm a fan of this author. He wrote the Summoner series, which is down below here, and I read all of them, and I loved them, and it was just a great, if you are looking for a Harry Potter meets Lord of the Rings YA adventure series with dragons and orcs and trolls and I think it's the trolls, or not the trolls, the dwarfs. I loved the dwarfs in his Summoner series. Loved them so much. But anyway, that author is Taran Matharu, and he ended up writing a larger new series called the Soulbound Saga, and book 1 is called Dragon Rider. I've only seen this mentioned a few times. I've heard some decent reviews on it. I am looking forward to it because I really enjoyed his writing in the Summoner series and the world he creates, and it was fun. And I think this is supposed to be for a slightly more adult audience than the Summoner series, so that will be interesting there. Yep, brand new adult fantasy series. If I would just read, you know. Jai lives as a royal hostage in the Sabine court ever since his father Rohan, leader of the steppe folk, led a failed rebellion and was executed by the very emperor Jai now serves. When the emperor's son and heir is betrothed to Princess Erica from a neighboring Dansk kingdom, she brings with her a dowry, dragons. Exclusive to the northern nation, these powerful beasts come in several forms, but mystery surrounds them. Only Dansk royalty know the secret of soul bonding with these dangerous beasts to draw on their power and strength. This marriage and the alliance it forms will change that forever. But conspirators lurk in the shadows, and soon the Sabine court is in chaos. With his life in danger, Jai uses the opportunity to escape with the Dansk handmaiden Frida and a stolen hatchling. Hunted at every turn, he must learn to cultivate magic and become a soulbound warrior if he has any chance of finding safety, seizing his destiny, and seeking revenge. I'm going to go on a bold outcliff. Wouldn't it be fun if the handmaiden he runs away with, Frida, is actually the princess in hiding or in disguise? I mean, I'm going to say it now, and if it turns out that way, then great. And then he's going to, take over the kingdom and win. But I don't know, but it sounds really great, and I am looking forward to reading it. Like I said, this was one of the ones that I had wanted to read when it came out, so I'm finally happy that I got a copy, or I'm happy that I finally got a book. See, I've been filming too long today, and because I had done another video, and now I can't speak, so it's good that we are down to our last novel, which is not going to have much about it because this is another in the series, and that is Victoria Aveyard's Fatebreaker. This is book 3, I believe. So now all I have to do is go and pick up Realmbreaker. I think the 4th book comes out next month or the month after, but anyway, the next book's coming out soon. So I'm going to have to go and pick up Realmbreaker, and then that way I will have the first 3 books. We will sit through those and hopefully try to read that before the next book in the series comes out. And then we'll, of course, pick up that one, and that'll be part of a spring haul, and you know how it goes. You know how it goes. But basically, that is all the books that I have got in winter. Obviously, I did a separate one for my Christmas haul. But I don't know. What did we walk away with here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 20. 20, even number. I like it. Good, even number. But yeah, so a lot of really good books that I really want to get to add to my cart here of other books that I really want to get to. So once we are done with all the March TBR madness that is going on with the challenges there, and of course Magical Readathon in April, things start to die down in May. And yes, we have a series that we're hoping to read in May, but after that we can hopefully maybe really just mood read for a while and just get through all these wonderful beauties and make them shift from there to back here, and just go from there. But other than that, let me know if you have read any of these. Do not give any spoilers, please. Just let me know if they were awesome. It might put them a little bit higher up on my TBR to read for them. Let me know if there were any here that you've been excited for, that you were wanting to read as well. And if you have picked up any purchases lately, what has been your favorite book that you have picked up? Let me know in the comments below. And other than that, stay warm, stay cool, take your allergy medicines if you need it now that spring is coming up on us. And of course, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video.